You know how the window for the sound thing, it should be so long that you can't hit the confirm button. Why the fuck is this a thing anyway? I had this ever since the Windows update. Every program just forgets my mic as often as it can, which, you know, it's unsurprising. According to Streamlabs, you can hear me now, so Jesus fucking Christ. So, today, we have our first Fast Food Thursday. I know I said I wouldn't eat any food anymore. Today we have something very special. A salad. Yes. An actual salad that is mostly vegetable based and has little in the way of green leaves in it, and also it does have meat in it. Which is a situation that is a thing. Yeah, I pretty much, yeah, Windows Update fucked everyone. My girlfriend also had problems with her Windows Update. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I drink water almost exclusively. Sometimes I drink, like in my day-to-day life, I drink water almost exclusively. And of course, as every proper salad should, the top thing on this salad is falafel. Because of course, falafel is a standard ingredient in any salad. Oh, this falafel's really good. I found this new donut place around the corner. That's apparently the best in the city. Even though it does vegan shit. The question is, right? Fast food, what is, like, the definition of fast food is that it is fast. You walk in there, you say, hey, I'd like to have, though most of the time it is fast because a lot of prep has been done beforehand, but it's not very complex. So you walk into the restaurant, fast food place, and you say, hey, I'd like to have this and that. It doesn't need to be unhealthy. It just so happens that it often is unhealthy because, I mean, it comes from America. So, plantain chips with avocados, 100% healthy, 100% fast food, isn't it? Delicious, some delicious fucking beans. Now the problem is that it's not well mixed, so there's now a huge layer of cheese. What bell did you press? Is Burger King... I was at McDonald's like 2 times in the last few days. Sandro, it took me a long time as well to discover falafel. I ate my first falafel last year or something. This is brilliant. What is deviled eggs? Explain to me, please, what deviled eggs is. Because I have no idea. This is a huge level of cheese. Because I have no idea what that is. And I always read about deviled eggs, but it's not... Is it even deviled eggs? Is it devilled eggs? Is it like a French thing? Does it even include eggs if it's a French thing? Maybe it's eggs. And that's somehow, I don't know, calf meat in French. Because the French eat weird shit. The French have this thing which is banned now. They eat like small birds in one bite. And the birds are prepared in a horrendous and inhumane manner. And like the Prime Minister of France did that, like I don't know, like 3 Prime Ministers ago, he had several of them. So it's extremely fucked up. Your favorite at McDonald's is the kids' hamburger with no Happy Meal. And a Filet-O-Fish. You, I think, I am 100% certain, should get yourself examined. up here. Deviled eggs are like they take eggs, take out the yolk, mix it with cayenne and mayo, and then put it back in. It sounds pretty good. Oh, now we have the academic article. The term deviled in reference to food was in use in the 18th century, with the first known print reference appearing in 1786. In the 19th century, it came to be used most often with spicy or zesty food, including eggs prepared with mustard, pepper, or other ingredients stuffed in the yolk cavity. That makes sense, actually. Because you have the whole devil hot hell thing going on for you, if you use that term. This is, man. Really good couscous in there. They're kidney, but like they're not really kidney, but they look like kidney beans, but they're small. And I'm not an expert on beans. I'm not exactly a beanologist. I do not know how to use chopsticks. I know it's weird, but I just happen to believe that this is the superior item for eating, and the two items that accompany this, because you can eat Japanese food. You can eat ramen and rice with spoon, fork, and knife. You can also eat soup with a spoon. Can't eat fucking soup with chopsticks. Can't cut a steak with chopsticks. And steak, really, if you can't eat steak, why live? A burger, in your opinion, what is doner meat made of? Well, not pork. Though I think there is like one or two places in all of Germany that do it with pork. You can either get chicken or beef. Though, I mean, of course, I know he means horse meat or some shit. And there was a scandal not so long ago where they, Or you watched like 5 of Sanderson's videos. They're amazing, aren't they? I highly recommend Brandon Sanderson's thing. Brandon Sanderson's lectures on writing. A novel. Science fiction and fantasy writing. They are so good. Like, I have never learned as much. Like, I know a lot about science fiction and fantasy writing. I have been doing this for over 10 years. 12 years, I think, at this point. And I have not... I learned them... I saw them recently. I have never learned this much in the past 12 years. In such a short period of time. There is something about doing it with bullshit takeout food that's satisfying. Like, eating it, 100%. Dude, it is... Eating... I mean, McDonald's and all these sort of Chinese places where the main flavor ingredient is soy sauce, they wouldn't be in business if this wasn't the case. Let's be fucking honest. Because it's like bad chicken, like chicken McNuggets chicken meat. And there's just some primal quality about it that not even steak can do it. Like really disgusting, over-processed food that you shouldn't be eating under any circumstances. There's just something about it that makes it delicious. It's not even the taste, because the taste isn't particularly good. And it's not even the texture. It's the feeling of consuming death and unhealthy, just unhealth adds an element. That is what's nice about it. Tesco put horse meat in their ready meals. The UK was horrified for getting that as ready meals that they're supposed to be cheaper. Yeah, but they're not supposed to contain horse meat, innit? McDonald's has takeout in I mean, doesn't McDonald's have takeout in the UK or US? Do you go in there? Hey, I would like to have this and that to go, and then you walk out. Actually, here I saw recently you can order McDonald's to your home, which that is, to me, that is the epitome of fat. And then tried Italian nuggets then. What's Italian nuggets? Someone just posting penis in chat because, I mean, where else if not the internet can you be so incredibly free and do this again? Probably that person isn't even a 12-year-old boy. It's a grown-up man. But let's be honest, even though 12-year-old boys are the only people who do just run around shouting penis, don't we all kind of want to do it? I don't understand this obsession that a lot of people seem to have with being grown up. Because most of the time it seems like being grown up consists of you having no more fun in your life and reminiscing with your friends about how nice it was when you were younger. And that, to me, is a sad existence. And I pity people like that. What does a jolly be? There are apps that let you order anything. Well, I mean, yeah. But they're illegal. Oh, yeah, sure, you can get Chinese takeout food in Germany. But all of that did come from America, because, like pizza, but I already told the pizza story on another live stream. I'm about to fucking repeat myself. God, this is delicious, man. Just the way and the olives and the sort of coleslaw type thing and the cheese, the way they interact in the mouth. This is actually the best place in the city. I think the Chinese basically, the Chinese Americans basically invented takeout, as is, though who knows really. So, I mean, I know that different things on the McDonald's menu taste different in different countries. I mean, Nutella tastes different in different countries, which... Eat German Nutella, it's the best. Are they especially good in Italy, the McNuggets, or what's the deal there? I have no idea what Bionicles eat. But I am thinking that I will, do a Bionicle-themed Fast Food Thursday stream at some point. Am I looking forward to The Incredibles 2? Well, yes. Why even did I have to think about that? The Incredibles... People say that The Incredibles is a perfect movie, and I say to them, yes, 100% it is. That was... Like, what is The Lion King? And some people, this big masterpiece of their childhood. That, to me, is The Incredibles. I have seen that film 1,000,000 times. Well, not quite 1,000,000. It's more like 900,000, but... You know. Ah. I think deep dish pizza is basically like a soup, but it instead of a bowl they use pizza. Yeah, dude. In the EU, all of these fast food places are better because we just have extremely high standard of quality control when it comes to meat and vegetables and all that shit. Oh, the mint! Ah! There's this little piece of mint in there that just... it jived perfectly with the... Wow. Holy shit. In the American Midwest, you can get deep fried cheese curds as a side. I think that you can also do that in Glasgow. But then, in Glasgow, you can get deep fried heroin at a McDonald's drive-thru. So, you like books and book-related things? I need a new book to read. What would you recommend? Well, I've recommended The Wind-Up Girl and Everything by Alistair Reynolds in the past. So, I think I'll go with something different this time. What's the last book that you read that you really enjoyed? Like that you... First one that comes to mind, there you go, yeah, that one, I loved that fucking book. We're gonna figure this out. We're gonna give you a really, really cool book to read that you're gonna have fun with. Ah, holy shit. Oh, I love this salad. Probably my girlfriend is not gonna like the fact that I eat so many beans. But she got one as well, so... I'm like the Jared Padalecki of YouTube. And that my farts are disgusting. What is Timescape? What kind of novel is that? Because I've never read that. Where's my... That's my thing. Hey Burger, you play music at all? Yeah, I play it in Winamp. There was actually a time where I did make music. With like Magic's Music Maker and shit. It was bad. but I did do it. It was nice. And it's still somewhere on the internet. So... Oh shit. Ready Player One is a bad book. Hey, please exterminate all of the flat earthers. Please, for the love of God, I can't take us with these flat earthers. Listen, they're just idiots. They're not doing anyone any harm. Also, yeah, I have played Civilization. Yeah, but what kind of book is Timescape by Gregory Benford? You can't just... If I ask what type of books is is Timescape, you can't just tell me it's Timescape. That's not how that works. Of course I've played Civilization. It's one of my absolute favorite games. I used to be part of the biggest Civilization AI match that has ever been played. So I got my start on YouTube. A science time travel-y thing written in the 70s, I think. I don't know. I know little about time travel books because I'm not a huge fan of time travel, I have to be honest. I always find time travel plots to be... I mean, the plots are very interesting because they're convoluted and end up working out at the end, but very often I find that they just don't think the idea of time travel through, because obviously you wouldn't, because that would basically destroy everything. I will, however, recommend you, if you are into extremely hardcore sci-fi. No, probably it's not, if you're into time travel, you're probably not into extremely hardcore sci-fi. I can't actually make any time travel book recommendations because I don't enjoy time travel at all. Sorry, mate. I will, however, recommend you read Red Mars, Green Mars, and Blue Mars because they're good. Are you happy about Fallout 69, or did you want Elder Scrolls 6? Elder Scrolls. I haven't played Fallout in the way that other people have. I've spent many hours in New Vegas, always playing like the first 10 hours of the game, because of bullshit German laws that said that had to have the game censored in Germany, in which you would assume, like, for the blood and shit, not for the words, and you would assume that you could just have the censored no blood version in Germany, but still play the game in English. But no dice. I had to play the game in German, and that is why I could never actually make it through it. Played Fallout 4 a bit, hated it. It's dead. It's a dead game. Like, in Fallout New Vegas, from the very beginning of the game, you had this feeling that you were inside a living world. You could look around and you could see, oh, this is what the town eats, and this is where the trade routes go, and this is the caravan, and so on and so forth. But in Fallout 4, it's just people sitting around in a hut. And then you have to shoot a bunch of dogs, and then now that is your town? What? So Fallout 4 was entirely dead. I've always liked Elder Scrolls more than Fallout, even though Fallout tries to be diverse in its environments, I think it falls into the grey-brown mush trap that many post-apocalyptic games fall into. Which I don't think is... I think it's bullshit. You don't have to be drab, colorless, and boring in your presentation if you play a post-apocalyptic game. You can be incredibly diverse in your environments, incredibly green, incredibly fucking... I want to see a Fallout game set in Hawaii. That's what I want. And so, just aesthetically, I never really liked Fallout that much because it was disgusting, and it didn't have to be. Yeah, so I always preferred sort of, yeah, the Elder Scrolls. So I would rather have the Elder Scrolls 6. Let me scroll to the end of chat so I can get the newest info. A Phoenix Rising, a Ministry of Peculiar Occurrences, is a steampunk historical fiction. I can't talk about it without spoiling it, but it's great. It sounds sort of tongue-in-cheek, and maybe like something that doesn't take itself seriously. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of things that don't take themselves seriously. That's the whole reason why I despise Doctor Who in the way I do. Like, I understand why people enjoy it. I really do, because it is cool. It is really cool. But at the same time, it doesn't really take itself seriously, and also doesn't do it to an extent. It still has serious plots, though. Right? If it was just a blatant satire of bullshit and absurdism, I would enjoy it. But because it does try to go for serious plots from time to time, I think that's why I have such a big problem with Doctor Who. Oh boy, they're trying to make a State of Decay or Metro DayZ or any of the other online survival. What? I mean, Fallout has always been post-apocalyptic. That's not a new thing. Last book I really enjoyed was The Vegetarian by Han Kang. Great English translation. I really hope that's a book about a serial killer. Fallout 4 was beautiful, had a lot of cool things about it and the setting, but was completely soulless. Exactly! It still stole a few hundred hours from me. Yeah, it didn't from me, though. Yeah. There was a lot of very interesting looking stuff, but it was always... It was a puppet show, right? It didn't actually have... It was you know, good. It wasn't good. And I really hope that... I heard that Fallout 69 was supposed to become, like, an online game, but... Honestly, if Bethesda does that, I will stop playing video games. Like, come on. I won't stop playing video games, obviously. But Jesus fucking Christ, why would you... I mean, of course, The Elder Scrolls Online does kind of good. That is, of course, a factor. So, if the new Fallout is going to be... If they move away from single-player games now, Bethesda, the last titan of good single-player games, I will have lost all hope. The only person at that point who will be able to fix the games industry will be Elon Musk. I fucking hope he makes a game studio. I enjoyed how ESO mixed up the common grind up until I realized they were just going for a different flavor of grind. Yeah, that's the big problem that I have with... I don't even have a problem with grind in online games. I have a problem with grind with online games that they try to tell you that you're somehow special. But, like, you're not. You're one of... Like, you're one of 20 people standing at the tutorial level where they tell you the big prophecy that you are going to save the world. And they're telling it to all those 20 people at the same time that they're the only person who can save the universe. And that really is something that I just don't understand why you would do something like that. With EVE Online, at least, they make an effort of telling you that you are a worthless piece of shit and nobody cares about you. And the same is well, I mean, in EVE Online, you're still... Like, compared to the majority of the galaxy, you're like a super trillionaire. But, like, in Elite Dangerous, for instance, you're a nobody. How is, by the way, the synchronization between the camera and the microphone? Because I have found that, like a week ago, for absolutely no reason, the synchronization just stopped entirely and became bullshit. The Elder Scrolls Online is kind of good in the sense of that it makes them money. That is the way in which it is good. So I think there's this leak about a dude who also sort of predicted Fallout 69. So that's that's why the leak has a little bit of credence. And he said that there's no TS6 in the works because they're making too much money with online. So yeah, that's a big bullshit. So I wouldn't be surprised if they did that because I know that like big budget, big marketers, big companies big publishers are trying to move away from like games, and they're beginning to sell live services because apparently people don't enjoy. Like, people don't want to have fun with their games. People just want their games to be addictive. At least that is apparently what the games industry thinks. That was the big buzzword a while ago. Oh, it's addictive, it's addictive. Yeah, but like, even the games I've been addicted to, I stopped playing at some point because I was fucking bored of them. And I don't think that... and at some point, I just want a new game. Even if they added new content to, I don't know, Civilization every day, I at some point I would just get tired of it. So yeah. Another titan of single player is Ubisoft, but they suck. Yeah, they suck. They do suck, not on like games. The games they do are often kind of good. I mean, at least the games the studios do for them. Anno, man. Oh god. Isn't there supposed to be a new Anno coming out soon? Like one that's set even farther into the future? Because I remember the Anno I have the Anno where they completely revamped the whole system with the production chains that I mean, it worked the way they did it, but I would have preferred the old system because it was already perfect. And why would you change anything about that? But I did hear that there's a whole bigger Anno coming. Pay to play is a huge problem with ESO and just games in general nowadays. Yeah, it's bollocks. Yeah, fucking... I mean, I've never heard of Sony Santa Monica, but CD Projekt Red is basically, in my mind, the savior of the Western games industry. Explain this to me. I love Musk, he's really ambitious, but I'd rather he was this ambitious... with actually feasible projects. Hyperloop isn't a new concept, for example. It didn't work. Why the praise? He is... well, I mean... Hyperloop has... I mean... Flight was also a concept back in the days of Leonardo da Vinci, and he didn't achieve flight. And why would then now Elon Musk be unable to achieve flight? Just because the Hyperloop has been a concept that hasn't worked in the past. That's something I really don't understand. I mean, the problem with Hyperloop is not that it is not possible, but that it is... It's the problems with the Hyperloop are engineering problems, and also it's not feasible in the same way that most infrastructure projects aren't feasible. But the problem with infrastructure, this is why ANCAPs are wrong about roads. Roads are often not built after the fact. Like the whole Pacific Railway thing was built in a build it and they will come type situation. That is usually how it works. The government goes ahead and it puts down funds and then it builds the road or it builds the railway. I mean, most towns in the United States developed around railroads because the railroad was there. That is why the towns were there. And I mean, of course, nowadays American railroads are shit. 1800s, anno 1800. Yeah, I think it is anno 1800. Fuck, I kind of hope for like an anno in like an actual space. There was a guy who created a dystopia in SimCity using geometry. You'll have to explain this. Tesla cars are not good for the environment. Lithium batteries are a very big issue. Hyperloop doesn't work. SpaceX rocket landing was already done before, etc. Let me unpack that. Electric cars are ultimately, if you... I mean, yeah, cars are never going to be good for the environment, right? Electric cars are better for the environment than non-electric cars. That's what we're not going for, oh, this is now perfect. We're going for this is better than the alternative. Lithium batteries, hopefully we're not going to have to use them anymore, but we'll need space for that. Hyperloop can work. It's just... The way that it is being built, that it is being imagined, is a bit odd. For instance, fucking... I know that Thunderfoot sort of nitpicks examples and misrepresents the facts in order to be able to debunk Elon Musk, because he has a hate boner for Elon Musk. I don't understand why. SpaceX rocket landing was already done before. Yeah, by SpaceX. Do you know why they... Do you understand why they land rockets again? Because that's the... I mean, SpaceX isn't a company that looks to make a profit. SpaceX right now is like a space agency that looks to get an investment out of it in 50 years, maybe. Hyperloop is a shit idea unless you are in space. Not necessarily. Hyperloop would 100% work if it was underground. That's the thing. But there is the fault line problem. I think that you don't really need a Hyperloop. You can just have a maglev trains like they do in Japan, and that is 100% sufficient. You don't need these sort of vacuum tube networks. I think it's not a pipe dream. It can be done. I just don't see... It's diminishing returns is what I'm trying to say. Yes, of course, but if you look at the progress, he's done none. So you're talking about the Hyperloop progress. He's made huge strides in Hyperloop. What the fuck are you talking about? Thunderfoot just reports on the lack of progress. He just goes, oh, look, there, he failed. He failed. And that, to him is then, oh, he is a lack of progress. Also, Elon isn't really involved much with the Hyperloop. He's more involved with SpaceX. That's a thing that, you know. Hey there, Burger Creek. Good Thursday today. It is a pretty good Thursday. I'm sort of irritated that the YouTube growth has been extremely slow these past few days. Like, extremely slow. But, like, over the last 2 weeks or something, I have noticed it's not a sharp decline, but it is a significant decline in growth. But I mean, probably that's just a phase. I mean, that's what happens when you do YouTube. Impressive understanding of American history. Yeah, I do have a better understanding of American history than I should. Also, in many capacities, I have a better understanding of American history than German history. So, New York subway was started by private companies. I'm gonna have to have a source on that. And even let's say it was, right? Let's say it was. So what? They built the subway with also 100% with government subsidies, because I mean the fucking post office is a private company. If you look at it from certain perspectives, many organizations that are sort of considered private companies are also still subsidized by the government, so they will do what they will do because they don't want to have to lose as much. But ultimately, the subway wasn't built with "we are going to break even in a month" in mind, right? That's not how that works. It's a big infrastructure project. What the fuck is wrong with YouTube? I just want to scroll down like 2 chat messages, not all of them. What is yeah. Apparently the best way to create efficient road was to draw a map of the cities and then lay a slime mold over it, and then that slime mold over that. That's not really true because the slime mold won't actually take into account landscape. SpaceX is profitable, but Elon's other companies not. No, SpaceX is not profitable. SpaceX has no. It's not even a public company. It's still a private. It's not. I mean, it's private, of course, but it's not on the stock market. It doesn't make money. SpaceX is not making money, and the reason that it is not on the stock market is because it is not making money. Is other companies, those are making money. I think this I'm gonna go in a very long tirade about the statement, I think we should fix our own planet before going to ruin a different one. So imagine you live on an island, right? And you have a lot of people on that island and a lot of problems on that island. You have a famine, you have a lack of resources, you have there's social unrest, there's not enough living space for everyone. And then somebody goes, hey, there's another island over there. Right, it's like 200 miles that way, 200 kilometers that way, right? I'm gonna build a boat, and I'm gonna go there, and then we can just take people and bring them there, and we can make food there, and get the stones out of the ground there, and then we can ship them back here. And that'll alleviate all our problems. But then some moron goes, but wait, shouldn't we fix our own island before we go over to that island? What the fuck? Do you not understand how expansion works and the benefits of expansion? How do you feel about Trump appointing a climate change denier over the head of NASA? I don't know that happened, but I am like not surprised. I'm gonna change the chair a bit. I don't want to recline right now. Usually I recline all day, but fuck, I have to. I don't understand how this chair works 100%. Ah, this is nice. This is better. So fucking, I'm not surprised that he did that. I know SpaceX doesn't want profit. They're doing. No, NASA has never landed a rocket before. NASA has never. SpaceX were the first people who have ever landed a rocket, and SpaceX is looking to make a profit in maybe 30 years' time, maybe 50 years' time. Just not today. That is what it is, what an investment is. It's just that there's this weird American mentality that if you make an investment and it doesn't pay off quadruple in a matter of 3 months, it's not an investment. That's not how this works. Do you think the Logan Paul Forest video was a real dead body or a staged hoax? I don't give a shit. Why not Fast Food Fridays? Because, you know, I have friends. Also, everyone's on Friday. Not many people are in this time slot for live streaming. And, you know, I like to go out with friends on Fridays sometimes. So, I don't do it. Because then I'd have, like, oh, tonight, though, I want to go out with friends. And if we do it on Thursdays, that's no problem. This show is 100% for me. It is also for you guys, but, you know. It's a bullshit low quality show. What the fuck do you expect? So yeah, that's why no Fast Food Fridays. Though it does have a better ring to it, 100%. Elon is like Trump when it comes to attention spans. Very quickly bored. He's been running SpaceX since the early 2000s, though. He just has the potential to make reality bullshit ideas that he has. And so he does that. It doesn't mean that when he said, I'm going to make flamethrowers, that doesn't mean I'm going to stop everything else and make flamethrowers. I'm going to continue doing all the other things that I'm doing, but also I'll make fucking flamethrowers because I can. I work the same way, to be honest. Hyperloop could work, but not the way it's currently being tried. I mean, that's why you have engineers, so they figure out how to actually do it. I think that the whole Hyperloop thing is not worth it, But we should build, the EM rail and shit. Ugh. Come on, YouTube chat. What the fuck? Railroads used to be private, but they got lazy with their monopolies and stopped innovating, then cars. Yeah, that is pretty much... There was like the huge railroad magnate situation, but that too was people who had a lot of money, who put in money up front. Like Elon Musk's, basically. They put money up front, they invested it in the long term, and then they made money from that. And that is basically the same way with in America, you often had these people in the past because the government has a weird perspective on things. But in other countries, the government builds the railroads. Unless, of course, it builds the railroads and then gifts them to a private company, which is also sort of owned by the government and not meant to make profits, but they kind of do want to make profits, and the government... and they control more parts of the government than the government controls of them, and then they increase prices to a ridiculous degree and make train travel essentially unfeasible, but also people need to travel by train because the whole economy depends on train travel, and then they have shit schedules and shit lines, and whenever there's a strong gust of wind going, they go, we'll have to stop with the entire railroad service today. But that's what happens when you privatize shit. Looking forward to Article 13 being passed. I don't know what that is, to be honest. I probably know what that is. I just don't know it by that name. We already ruined this one. No. What the fuck are you talking about? None of Elon's businesses are turning a profit. I find that Come on. I find that very difficult to believe. I would like to see some numbers on that. And even if they are not, once again, he is not looking for immediate returns. This whole mentality of you make a business and it immediately makes money. That is, for once, that is an expectation that, and I'm gonna punch in this thing. That's boomer mentality. That is 100%. Their businesses didn't do it either, by the way. But that is boomer mentality, that you just open a business, you have to open a business, and it immediately has to make huge amounts of profit. That's not how that works. That is not how it works. Here, the long-term investment is foreign to the naysayers who don't want to build a giant meteor defense system. Yeah, that's true. However, this is an interesting thing about meteor. This is why about this specific topic I'm not too concerned. Any meteor that could be a danger to Earth, we would see coming many years ahead. Like many, many years ahead. Like our techniques for detecting those are pretty fucking good. And there's predictions that even if tomorrow, like NASA went, by the way, a huge asteroid hurling our way, it's gonna be here in 3 years, so, we could, we would, most definitely, because then we would all be faced with extinction, obviously. Be able to devise a method to destroy it. There are a lot of ideas that are feasible. Fucking YouTube chat, man. Your show is better than Ow My Balls from Idiocracy. I just watched it. Idiocracy is a great film. Electromagnetic rail seems more environmentally friendly. Yeah, but Hyperloop is essentially EM rail in vacuum. So, like, the vacuum factor just gets rid of the air resistance, which is a huge energy saver. But, like, EM rail, I think, would be 100%, you know, better. Any new transport system would have to be compatible with current infrastructure? What are you, high? What do you mean with compatible with current infrastructure? You can just have the new space elevator cable in, I don't know, London, and you build it next to a road. And then it's compatible with current infrastructure. Sashi is an autistic who thinks, what? I don't know what. Worst example of privatization, telecom. 100% this. 1,000,000% this. Telecom is disgusting. Imagine you touching his forehead like Jesus and him just dropping to the floor. I don't know what you're talking about, man. Israel versus Palestine. Who has the legitimate claim? What even question is this? I mean, I have talked about this particular topic in the past. I think both have a 100% legitimate claim. It's an incredibly complex issue. There is absolutely no simple answer to this mess. However, when it comes down to it, I prefer Israel over Palestine because Israel is in its foundations a Western nation. Israel does a lot of fucked up shit. A lot of fucked up shit. I don't care, like, both parties do a lot of fucked up shit. That's the problem. Everyone always wants to frame it in a way that one party is correct and the other party is incorrect. Because people want to have a good guy or a bad guy they can root for. People don't want to have to exert the mental effort or to come to grips with the reality that there is no such thing as a good guy and a bad guy. The world isn't black and white. Both of them are the bad guys and both of them are the good guys. Right? That's the whole problem. And I think by everyone taking sides on this issue with such an extreme level of contempt and arrogance for the other side, that makes the whole issue worse. Because it does need to break even, Burger. That's not how it... Yes, but these things break even decades into the future. Breaking even does not happen immediately. When you open a restaurant, you shouldn't expect to be breaking even in the minimum amount of 2 years. That's 2 years in which you do not make any money. That's the point at which you break even. Of course, you don't invest money and then never get it. I mean, you can invest money and never get anything out of it. But to frame that as though I would say that you never have to break even is such a ridiculous and ass-hattery straw man that I cannot believe you have been given a brain license. Compatible with infrastructure, do the buildings still argue? Did I teleport into the future? Do buildings like argue with each other now with like computers? So is this an FAQ? It kind of is an FAQ. You can ask me pretty much anything. Continued Israel-Palestine question. Should either control Jerusalem or should it be an international city? You know, I think Jerusalem as an international city sort of makes sense because everyone lays claim to it. Every culture, I mean not every culture in the world, but almost every culture in the world has something in Jerusalem that is incredibly important to them. A big problem with Israel, I think, it's that it is as an idea a religious state, because with Judaism, of course, you have with the Jewish people, you know, Jewish people, not in the sense that they're not a people, but they're a people that are united by tradition, and the religion is more a traditional than a spiritual or a theological component. It is a spiritual component, of course, but culture and heritage drives them more together than, say, ethnicity, right? So that is why the Jewish people is a bit different from other peoples. It's generally it's not easy to draw distinctions between this, but what's the thing? Israel was framed as a destination for the Jewish people because Jews are often equated with Semites, which is a problem because A, most Semites are not Jewish, most Semites are Muslim, most Jews are not Semites, right? So most Jews are actually Caucasian. So you have legit Semites in Palestine. You know, the Muslims living in Palestine are Semitic, but Israel isn't the destination for Semitics. That's not a word. For Semites, even though it is sort of portrayed as such in like colloquial terminology, it is the destination for Jews. And then you have a lot of people who are Jewish, who just they have not historically lived in that area. They have historically lived in other areas. And I understand the argument that you need Israel as a destination for all the places the Jews got expelled out of, because people expel Jews from everywhere. Because obviously it's easier to just expel the guy you owe money to than to pay them back, you know? That kind of makes sense. But this is why you need to modernize society. This is why Western societies are cool today, because you don't need things like Israel anymore, because we are post-ethnic. We are post-religious. We just care about the individual. But, you know, that is also once again changing. So, you know, what the fuck even. A video on making your own crusade has become scary close to success in the UK with what happened to Tommy Robinson. At least the AFD have offered him political asylum. I haven't heard of that. I am not surprised by it. Here's the thing about Tommy Robinson. It's like, I have never, ever heard him say anything that was racist. I always read about how he is a racist, right? But I've never seen him, I've never heard him, I've never read him do anything that is actually racist. And I would love to see some of that. Yeah. And, you know, also it shouldn't be out of context, obviously. Should the Jews have established themselves in Uganda or Madagascar? There were also people living there. There are also people living in Madagascar. There were also always people living in Uganda. And of course, there used to be like big Jewish kingdoms in where today is Israel. They were Israel just back then. It's like, imagine if, that's difficult though, because those nations still, but like imagine just theoretically if fucking, I don't think that's a good analogy though. I'm going for an analogy where I say imagine if like the Italians just went ahead, well, this used to be all of Europe, Southern Europe used to be the Roman Empire, so now we're going to make the Roman Empire again, and our historical claim to all this land is that it was once part of the Roman Empire. But I don't think that is a good analogy for that situation, to be honest. So there is, of course, historical precedent for the existence of Israel, but it just hasn't been there in a long time. It is simply defending its right to exist, but should a country be allowed such impunity? I mean, yeah, of course it has a right to exist. I don't think that, I think that Israel isn't criticized enough for what it does, and I think Israel is also criticized too much for what it does. It's just always criticized for the wrong things by the wrong people. And the same is true for Palestine. The thing is that Tesla could be profitable by now. They make money on every car they build, but all of their money goes toward investing in new production and research. Yeah, that makes sense. They are breaking even, getting, you know, they're breaking even, and then they are investing in new, better technologies with which they will, at a future point, be able to make more money. Elon Musk is doing the exact thing that ideally anarcho-capitalists say that people like him would be doing in an anarcho-capitalist society. That he's driving innovation forward. He is driving innovation forward without the need for government interference. He is pretty much the only big business magnate who does this. None of the other ones do this. A lot of them donate money. I think Bezos is, but that's with his private money. None of them are running their companies in a way that, well, there's probably some who do it, but where they invest horrendous amounts in research in order to improve the technologies they're working on. Because a lot of the time, you get into a dominant market position, then you stop all the research, and you stop all the research not just within yourself, but also you invest money in stopping all the research everywhere else. And you suppress progress so you can keep your monopoly position. Elon Musk has a different approach to this. He wants to keep his position as a monopoly, which he doesn't have in the electric cars market. But he wants to keep his position of dominance in the electric cars market by developing better technology than his rivals. That is what you have to do when you don't have a monopoly. And he does have kind of a monopoly. He also doesn't have a monopoly on spaceflight, but the other companies that do spaceflight have very different approaches. Tesla spoke to heavily with the place a new company with lots of extra investment capital. Yeah, and that is, he is investing the capital in research. That is an investment. Are you trying to say that Israel is run by the Jews? In large parts, I would say that that is, in this specific occasion, actually a statement that you can make, yes. Israel is run largely by Jewish people. 12k of my fellow burger subs got here before me. That's a strangely good feeling. Yeah, you've been here for a long time, man. Feel like you could have good ideas on this when writing fiction, science fiction in that case. What would be the most credible way of dealing with time differences, like explosions in space? Ignore science. What do you mean ignore science? What do you mean time differences? Because, like, you mean time dilation when you travel, like time debt that you accrue if you travel near the speed of light? Is that what you mean? Or do you mean sort of instant communication? Because you can just make up phlebotomium technology. You can just say, well, quantum entanglement is a thing if you want instant communication over vast distances in space. I don't know, you can, there's an infinite number of, you can say, oh, hyperspace radio. You can just handwave that shit away, as long as you're consistent within your universe and you think the technology through. But there's a couple very easy way of doing it, but easy way. Orbital rings or nah? Orbital rings all of the fucking way. I want to put a ring on Earth. How would you combat corrupt industries, such as an industry which, for example, poisons its consumers for profit? Should it be government regulation or journalism to inform people of the dangers? 100% government regulation, because informing the people of the danger, right? If you have a product that people need, water, for instance, right, or medicine, you have a product that people need, and you tell people, if you drink that water, it's poisoned. And then they go, yeah, but I still need water. So if I don't drink the water, I will die sooner than if I drink the poisoned water. So I'm going to drink the poisoned water. So you need the government intervention is in this situation. That is this. How do I describe this in a way that doesn't sound slightly odd? Government intervention is essentially the market deciding. It is the consumers deciding something without using their wallets. They are deciding something that the company is not allowed to do. They're using their power as consumers to change something that the company does, because otherwise the company would have too much power over them. That is why you vote for the government. Jesus Christ. That is why you vote for the government. Yeah, I know why Tommy Robinson got arrested. You are wrong. Okay, that's certainly an argument, I suppose. Do you think Jordan Peterson's fame has now peaked and... What the fuck, YouTube chat? It would soon fade away like Milo's did. Milo's fame didn't fade away. He was blackballed. Right? I mean, Milo was destroyed. I actually was live on that Drunken Peasants show when Paul interviewed him about this stuff, which was later then lifted. I mean, I wasn't on the. I was watching the Drunken Peasants back then. I wasn't on the show, obviously, but he was destroyed by. He was just dropped by everyone. And Milo is still around, but he said something that was so far outside the Overton window that everyone with any sort of influence, and also his own audience, sort of dropped him like a hot potato. Milo didn't fade. Milo was destroyed. Do you think self-driving cars will ever be a reality? Self-driving cars are already a reality. See you around, Jake. Hello, Avani, then. Changing Jake for Avani. Doesn't Amazon do that already? They invest a ton of shit besides their e-commerce side. Yeah, they invest... I mean, do they invest in technology? I mean, they do kind of invest in sort of technology. Google also invests vast amounts in, like, neural net research, which to improve their data algorithms. So it makes sense. I think you drank the Elon Kool-Aid. I look forward to your opinion after you research the man, the legend critically. I research everything I have an opinion on critically. Everything I approach critically. There is just right now, there's a sort of culture because Elon Musk is a legitimately... This happens, by the way, every time there is an exceptional person anywhere. People will try to put them down just because. They will say, oh, yeah, he's not that good. He's not that good. Trust me, I know. He's just not that. You just have to look at him critically. You just have to approach him with the preconceived notion that he is not that impressive. And then you will find faults with him, because of course you will find faults with him. He is a human. Every human has faults. And then basically, that's why he's bad. Elon Musk is an absolutely exceptional individual. He is a flawed person, as is everyone. And he makes mistakes all the time. But, like, what the fuck? He still makes absolutely amazing strides in a huge amount of fields. And the fact that he's a flawed human being doesn't change any of that. Oh, fuck. This shit again. I shit on the Babylonian sub, and I rarely go there, man. I burger you on BitChute. I think that's a video site. Elon Musk, the perfect capitalist. Difficult question. Maybe water filters will be the new thing soon, or maybe bottled water. Or you can just have a country that regulates tap water and sort of makes it drinkable by investing in proper infrastructure. I drink tap water. Most of what I put into my body every day is tap water. And it's brilliant. Which century was the best? 19th to 20th was 21st. We have the coolest shit. The farther into the future, generally, I believe, is better. But then I love progress. Why filter or bottle water? I have perfectly fine water out of my sink. Exactly. Can you tell us about your views on German politics? What do you want to know? Because it's a very, very complex field. I think that the way it goes right now, I am convinced that with the next election we will have a majority AFD. I am not looking forward to that. I will not vote for the AFD, but people voted AFD as the strongest opposition party because they wanted to see a change. And they got the exact same thing they had in the last legislature, in the last government. And instead of doing things differently, the political discourse in Germany is changing, but not necessarily the politics, right? And so, because everything is still the same, the resentment will just build up further. And so next time, I think we will see an AfD government, and I don't want that. Philip DeFranco is always... Yeah, Philly D is a fair guy. I don't always agree with what he says, but the nice thing about him is that, like, he says the facts, he gives his opinion on the facts, which you're not supposed to do if you're a journalist, but he always he always comes off as something that would respect you if you had a different opinion. And he never skews the facts in a way, at least not that I've noticed. He never skews the facts in a sort of way that changes the conclusion you will come to if you analyze it. I guess we've got Black. We think Jordan Peterson will also say something outside the Overton window. He's getting a bit wild, it seems, lately. I haven't noticed him getting particularly wild. He's saying a lot of stupid shit, but he said that from the beginning. I don't think... I mean, Milo is a provocateur. He was bound to say something that was outside the Overton window, and I don't agree that he should have been blackballed for that. I don't know, but I don't think that's going to happen with Peterson. I like the but he's a bit of a fence-sitter from time to time. I mean, yeah, sure. He doesn't form strong opinions about things he doesn't know shit about. Berger, I don't think I've ever heard you talk about the Trump border wall or really anything in regard to immigration. What do you think? There's already a fence, though. There's already a fence. Why also build a wall? I mean, I know there are parts of border that are unsecured, but I mean, the most people who come to the US who are illegal immigrants come into the country legally and then just stay instead of leaving when their visas run out. A border wall isn't going to help with that. A border wall might be an interesting infrastructure project to revitalize the economy down there, but it's going to pose some engineering problems, but hey, maybe we will have huge technological progress in the art of wall building because of the wall, because the government will invest in that shit. I mean, more Mexican people are leaving the United States every year than are coming in. Yes, Mexican people are doing jobs cheaper than, or generally immigrants are doing jobs cheaper than Americans are. That is true, 100%, and that is a problem for the lower classes of America. But also, America wouldn't function without that. Because the American manufacturing lives off not paying... America in general, in most fields, lives off not paying people enough to actually make a proper living. And so if you have people who are willing to work for even less, that's great. So I think America could get away from that addiction, but I don't think America has the right mindset to do it. I think America could be a great country. Could be the best country. 100%. But not with that mindset. In SimCity, a guy made a dystopia where people are generally unhappy but just satisfied enough. All the transport is subway, everything is geographically... That sounds horrible. Are you suggesting Elon and his business does not have a lot of PR? And you do you not agree that... Yeah, of course he has a lot of PR. And yeah, PR is not always reality. Sure. But when he lands a fucking rocket, I don't think he got Stanley Kubrick to do that for him. You understand what I mean? His PR is he does things that are extremely exceptional, often at a loss, and some of them are pointless, sure. And he knows how to market those things well. Good PR is rarely about lying to your customers. Good PR is about telling the truth of what you do in the best possible light. And that is what Elon's people do. Like, if fucking Pornhub PR doesn't lie about Pornhub. Pornhub PR gives you real statistics. Pornhub PR is, I 100% believe that Pornhub PR, I think the Pornhub people are the same people who do PR for Elon, because they're just so good. Come on, Google. I just want to do some... I'm going to pop out the chat, actually. And maybe then I can navigate it a lot better. Yeet! That's why he doesn't take sides. Isn't he trying to sell himself as media? That's what good media does. No science, just facts. Yeah, that is... Yeah, he is making his own media company. And I don't want to say nothing, but I had a dream recently. I dreamt this. I dreamt this where I was talking to Philip DeFranco with this production company, Rogue Rocket, and they wanted to turn one of my short stories into a movie. And I woke up and I had a tear in my eye. I admire Philly D. I enormously admire Philly D. And I think that in like 50 years' time, there's a good to fair chance that we will see him as a huge media mogul who changed the way media works. The minor nonsense was stupid. Him saying he enjoyed what happened to him at the hands of that priest and was his way of coping with the assault. And his name shouldn't have been dragged through the mud. I agree. He didn't say that what happened was okay and that it happening to others was okay. He just says he personally enjoyed it. I mean, he did kind of say that it's cool for gay kids to have a relationship with all the gay men. But like he said this to provoke. That's the thing. I don't think it's true. I think it might be It's like the Amos Yee argument. I mean, sure. There are probably 1, 2, 3 children who benefit from a pedophile relationship. But the overwhelming majority of them, the absolute, impossibly overwhelming majority on them, and there is data on this, right? They are scarred for life, and it is horrible, and they will never be completely functional people again. So... fuck that. Drinking non-polluted water out of tap water, what do you gain? No, I'm German, man. And I do pass my water through a water filter, but only to get the fucking calcium out, because it's not bad for you. It just doesn't taste nice. Oh, and hi, Politique Man. I'm gonna have you on one of these soon, TM. What are your thoughts about the concept of separating art from the artist? I guess in terms of allegations and convictions of historically adored figures and how all that's going. 100% separate art from the artist. There is art where the artist is trying to say something. Like 1984, for instance. That is the artist trying to say something. But otherwise, you always have to separate art from the artist. I have short stories with characters who are Nazis. Who are murderers. I'm working on a novel where one of the main characters is a serial killer. The guy who wrote American Psycho, he isn't a serial killer. He doesn't condone serial killing, right? Art rarely serves... I mean, often art that even says things, often says these things not to mean those things, but to allow for things that are not as extreme to be said. Art basically expands the Overton window when it says extreme things. Well, our family has always used unfiltered water and none of us are sick because if so, I guess there's no big pollution. I mean, there's a lot of places in the US where you can drink the tap water without problem. Interested in your opinion on AFD? Why would you not want them to be the ruling? Because they are actual. I mean, they are a huge amount of actual racists in there, you know. But the problem is that if you actually look through their party program, the things that they want to do are absolutely insane and regressive as shit, and extremely stupid. I appreciate them as an opposition party. I appreciate that apparently they're the only ones with any amount of sense in the parliament, which is just absurd to me. But the things that they actually want are just as bad, if not worse, than what the current ruling parties do. $100,000 illegal crossings stopped in the last 2 months. Well, great, I suppose. 96% of US citizen immigrants coming on planes. Exactly, that is the problem. Most of them come on planes and then they don't leave. Yeah. The horse-sized duck would probably eat the duck-sized horses. I feel I need more context for that sentence. Comparing Pornhub PR to Elon Musk PR. Exactly. They're both extremely good. Berger, did you ever get over being pissed off at the German transportation system? That video you posted forever ago. Did I get pissed off at that? I got pissed off at that in this very live stream. Did I get pissed off at that? I mean, let's be honest. The German transportation system is like stellar compared to, say, the US transportation system. Or even the United Kingdom transportation system. Right? But it's still shit. I mean, it used to be very good. It used to be that the trains would always be on time, or almost always be on time. It would be cheap to travel with them. You could rely on them. They would expand the network, even against profit, to service areas that needed it, because the goal of it was to build the infrastructure to allow the people there to have the economic opportunities to bring prosperity to them. Right? That was what the Deutsche Bahn was back then. And then they started to privatize it. And of course, shit happened. The German infrastructure and transportation network is still amazing compared to most other countries in the world. It just could have, if they hadn't privatized anything, it could have been a lot better. Corey Feldman was the one with the pedophiles, right? Did he actually release his shit at some point? In Wisconsin, we have good tap water, but when I go to the other states, it tastes bad. Yeah. I mean, the tap water that I have in this particular town also tastes bad. That's why I have the filter. Evil characters are often the most interesting ones. What? Politikman? What are you talking about? With a schnoz and double chin like that, I would never have guessed you're German. But of course, I'm not sure. Of course, now I'm be sure of the scat fetish. What are you talking? I don't even have a double chin. It's just the way that I recline like this gives me a double chin. People tell me I'm not even overweight, like I am at my optimal weight. Right? I just have more body fat than I should have. But I have lost body fat. I haven't lost weight. People tell me that I lost weight. I've actually become heavier. I've just lost body fat. Why is Europe keen on censoring things online? I thought only China did that. Literally every single government is keen on censoring shit online. What the fuck? What are you fucking nuts? There isn't... All governments constantly trying to censor shit online. Because online is the place where the discussion is happening. Burger, don't delete the stream. I'll watch it later from... I never delete the streams. They're all still there. Or are you not seeing the streams on my channel or in your sub feed? Is that the problem? Because I think that might be the problem. Because I think YouTube isn't showing you my streams. I think the ADF should win so that Europeans would stop being so smug and realize that it's not only NA or South America that elect stupid politicians. Everyone elects stupid politicians. What the fuck? Oh Lord, don't get me started on Canada's bus system. I know little about it. I know little about Canadian infrastructure, so... Texas has no idea how to public transport. It's there, sure, but it's super terrible. I feel like all American cities have that to a degree, where you have like these sort of disgust. I knew an American who was, it was a long time ago. He was in Germany, and he said like, yeah, where are we going? Yeah, we're going there. I think it was back in when I lived in near Cologne. No, yeah, we're gonna go to like fucking the Cologne. Like how? We're gonna take the train. Take the train? What? We didn't say with an English accent, of course. He said, take the train? What? How we gonna get to the train? Do you have a car? And I said, no, we're gonna take the fucking bus. The bus! And he went in the bus, and it was cheap. It was clean. There was normal people in there. There were just people, not just homeless people pissing on the seats. Just everyday normal people ride the bus, the clean bus, arrive to the train station. You get into a train. It's not as cheap as it should be, and then you go to Cologne. It's not a big problem. I've been reading a lot of your short stories lately on Who is Betty. Only question is, I have Who's Betty or Who is Betty, or at the very least, what is the story behind that channel name? A good friend of mine, the guy who I run the Bear Arms channel with, after we had been friends for, I think, 2 years, a solid 2 years that we had been good friends, he forgot my name. But he wanted to call me by my name. And so he just used the first name that popped into his head. And he said, Betty. And I was like, who is Betty? And, I mean, they tried to make the name stick, but, like, honestly, I don't really give a shit. I mean, I literally named my blog after it. Because it's a somewhat amusing anecdote. But that's basically it. There's not a big smart story behind this. I've only had American tap water in Boston, New York. Both use chlorinated water, which is awful. But I have heard that like New York water is apparently good because it makes good bagels. My government doesn't even know what the internet is, Lel. Where do you live? Do you live in ancient Greece? What is your opinion about Kashmir? I know very little about the material and also very little about the region, so I don't really have an opinion on it. I was in the Basque Country and they have very good public transport system. I've never been to the Basque Country, but I want to go there. It's absolutely fascinating. And yeah, Spain, many places in Spain have good transportation systems, I have heard. Though not, like, they don't have a good national transportation system. YouTube shows me your live stream. That's good, but do they show up in your sub feed later, though, after they're done, after they're processed? I typed that comment about the evil characters when you're talking about your writings with the serial killer characters and such, but the topic changed between me and typing and you reading it. Okay. Yeah, I mean, evil characters are really incredibly interesting. Holy shit, yeah. I don't know, sure. 100% owned by the Basque government, yeah. There's an interesting phenomenon. All of the nations with the fastest internet in the world, like the top 5 nations, I think, except Norway. All of them have internet provided by a single state provider. South Korea, fastest internet in the world, single state provider. Sweden, second fastest internet in the world. And also they have a lot of rural areas. You can get internet in the most remote rural bullshit place in Sweden, where there's like 5 people living there. You can get faster internet in that house than you can get in some German cities. Norway has extremely strict antitrust laws that they rigorously enforce. So yeah. We have the Viva system, and that's government owned and is fast. But the YRT is privately owned. I walk before I take the YRT. What are you, the Canadian? Okay, you're Canadian. What part of Canada are you from? I mean, it's pretty good. It's pretty big. I wouldn't say great, but it's like great in a sense that it's big. We use Presto and that requires credit card, but going cashless is bad. Cashless is a terrible idea. Never cashless. Cashless, unless they actually manage to figure out a way to do cashless anonymously, I will not go cashless. I mean, big banks are trying to phase out cash. Not because, I mean, they do want to have your data. They do want to be able to collect your data. But also, they want to force you to spend money. Because now people put their money in banks, and if banks start charging them, it's basically like negative interest on that money, people would just go to the bank and take the cash out. But banks want to be able to have you put your cash in the bank, and they just take more money out of it the more money you put in the bank. And so they have all big banks in the world are investing billions upon hundreds of billions in political lobbying to universally phase out cash money, so so banks can control all of the money in the world. That's the thing that's going on, and nobody's talking about it. I saw somewhere that almost every city in America used to have streetcar lines, but the car companies bought them up and it turned into shittier bus lines. I have heard of this. I'm not sure if it's true, but I've definitely heard of this. Oh, what's your opinion on the global centralized banking system? I think that tirade sort of explained that, innit? Das Internet ist für uns alle Neuland. Yes. Danke, Merkel. I live in the Dominican Republic. There are vast parts of the country with no internet. We're not Sweden. Burger, I saw that you were streaming about an hour and 50 minutes after you started. It didn't show at the start, even though I looked at my subs recently. That is, of course, weird and unsurprising. My metrics have gone down recently. Though the data that I have on that isn't enough to just say that it's just not me. Burger, why do you hate Patreon? I have been considering, I am trying to find out right now, because I heard somebody say, the reason I didn't use Patreon is because there was a German YouTuber, and they took away his Patreon at like the last second to fuck him over, which I found a dick move, and also apparently they kept the money that was supposed to go to him. Somebody recently told me that that wasn't the case. I have been trying to confirm this. Because then the thing is, I don't want to make a Patreon, but I do need to, like, eat. And Maker Support isn't working very well on a technical level. And also, not many people use it. If I had a Patreon, I could make more money to live. However, because I have said that if they didn't pay these people back, they wouldn't have me as a customer. And as a customer in the sense of I wouldn't make a Patreon account to take money. Because I do give like a little money to some people where I think that they deserve my Patreon money more than Patreon doesn't. I am currently trying to confirm that by at least like 3 other people. In order to find out if it's actually true. Because it might just be bullshit. If evil characters are like the Man in Black from Westworld because he's not really evil, he never actually kills anyone. Well, but like, you can be evil without killing people. If you're a rapist, that's... I mean, you're evil too if you're a rapist, right? The central bank system is massively flawed, though we do need an ability of governments to be able to enforce the monetary policy that they have. If you could not live in Germany, which other countries would you have to top on your list over potential places to live? Top of my list is probably the Netherlands. I love the Netherlands. Not just because of the weed, but I've always liked the attitude that they have. They're a little bit like the Australians of Europe because they are so fucking chill. So yeah, and I like the food in the Netherlands, and I think the language is funny. Also very, and they have very fast internet. Also very high on my list is New Zealand, because it's like Australia, but it doesn't have all the horrible creatures that Australia has. But it's too far away, I find. It's too far away for everything, and the ping is too high, you know? I would love to live in the United Kingdom, but unfortunately it's a dystopian hellhole, so I won't go there ever again. Well, I probably will go there at some point. And Ireland also is too conservative for my taste. There's a lot of places where I would like to live, like, geographically. I would like to... Or, you know, the US is also a fascinating place to me, but I would only ever move to the US if I were rich. I would like to live in, like, landscape-ish, I would like to live in Colombia, you know? That's a very fascinating place to me. Like, the Caribbean, there's a lot of great places there. Africa, like a lot of the beautiful, beautiful places down in Africa. Well, not necessarily, like even Saharan Africa, you know. Fucking the Middle East, Iraq and Iran. Well, Iran more than Iraq, to be honest. Like Tehran. I don't think you pronounce it like that. Tehran. Beautiful, beautiful place. Japan also, not, but a lot of those countries are shitholes, or culturally so different to myself that I don't think I would enjoy it there very much. But I don't plan on planning in Germany for very long. I don't plan on staying in Germany for very long. What about Patreon? It's more of it's a failed project, Patreon. And honestly, the vast majority of the people who are on Patreon are actual racists. And, like, while I appreciate that they have a platform, and I do believe that they shouldn't be denied a platform, I also, that's really not the people I want to associate with. So, yeah. The advantage of Patreon is that you just get more people are on Patreon, and people are more willing to give you money on Patreon. I live in an area of Africa, usually like of decent telecoms infrastructure, all internet was wireless, but way cheaper and faster than the average UK speeds. Why does UK internet suck, especially upspeed? I don't know. Probably because of reasons that I've never looked into it. But upspeed, often, I think there's a sort of like a low-key conspiracy that ISPs have. It's not really, they haven't, it's not a conspiracy in the sense that they've all talked about it and decided that we're going to do it this way. But it wouldn't be technically difficult to make upspeed as quick as downspeed, and to decentralize the internet. Making upspeed a lot faster wouldn't be much of a problem if you wanted to decentralize the internet. But ISPs and big internet companies do not want to decentralize the internet. So that's a big problem with that. What is a country? A country improving its infrastructure. Poof, boondoggle, I tells ya. Yep. Mesopotamia, the crater of civilization fucked up by Islam. Exactly. I mean, yeah, the cradle, not the crater. Exactly. There are so many beautiful places in the Middle East. Even Dubai, I think, is a beautiful city. Or Riyadh. Riyadh is a really cool city, but it is also the capital of Saudi Arabia. And I would get deaded if I ever went there. Right? I would love to live in a world where everything was sort of developed and everything was liberal and Western, because then I could just live everywhere I wanted. That's what I want out of the universe. I would love to live on Hawaii. I would really love to live on Hawaii, but except if Hawaii had legalized weed, because otherwise it's too fucking expensive. Well, also a problem with Hawaii is that it's so far away from, like, the internet speed. That's a big factor for me. And not just internet speed, but ping. Have you seen the Law & Order special Snowflake Unit cartoon on Facebook? I know that they did Law & Order did like an episode on games and the Gamergate thing. and the episode was not quite as good as Civilization 5 with the Brave New World expansion, let's be honest. That episode was actually, it's the only episode of Law & Order I've ever seen. And I lost 15 years of my life because of it. It's so cringe. I have a soft spot for cringe comedy, which I know that, cringe comedy's so bad, so doo-doo. I don't give a fuck. I hate it. I hated that shit. It was so bad. And at the same time, I was laughing my ass off. The majority of people on Patreon are racist. No. Hatreon. Hatreon is what I'm saying. I need to walk the dog. Be right back. Bye. Logan Paul was the bad guy. Okay. Wait, what? Logan Paul was the bad guy in a Law and Order. What? Oh no, Logan Paul played the evil character in that Gamergate episode, right? Because I think that was a thing. I don't think that episode was a parody, man. I think it was just people who are incredibly out of touch and want to bring. That's the thing. Every time when they go about, there's such a problem with women in gaming, and people go up to women and say, go away, gamer girl. That has only started happening on a larger scale since they started deciding that it was a problem, right? People have always wanted more girls to play games. And of course there's a lot of girls who come in there just for the social status, and nerds are weak beta males. Of course they're easily put around the finger and fucking controlled by these women. But there are also manipulative cunts who are men in gaming, right? If you try to get props off your gender, fuck you. We don't like that in gaming. I just tried donating this ad to purchase a subscription for Streamlabs. Fuck. No. You can donate without purchasing a subscription for Streamlabs. What the fuck? What the fuck shit is that? What do you... This shouldn't be the case. Does it really say this? Because it should not be saying this. Holy shit. If Streamlabs is trying to do this, I'm not surprised why I haven't gotten any Streamlabs fucking donations. That is impossible. I am extremely against this. Let me check on this immediately. Pro settings. Fucking shit. No, I don't have pro settings. I don't know what the fuck. This shouldn't be. I mean, you can always send a super chat, right? Or you can just send money straight to PayPal. It's also, the link is down there too. But this is, I don't know what you're talking about, but I will look into this. I will most definitely look into this and fix it. Because that is not good. IceCube is a gamer, but is he a gamer or is he a person who plays games? What do you think about the growing anti-natalism movement? What exactly is natalism? Because I've seen the term thrown around, but I've never really taken the time to look into it. Yeah, but I think, holy shit, I have to look something up really quick. Because I think I have heard this before, and I think Xander actually helped me out there. So you get... Okay, I don't think that's a... No, I don't think... But, like, seriously, what does it say on the stream? I really want to know what it says on Streamlabs. Because I don't want Streamlabs to force you to actually get a subscription. I know of no one for whom it is like this. That is pretty terrible. But no, please do explain to me what the natalism movement is, and what the anti-natalism movement is, I suppose. Because, to me, that sounds like either something about natural birth, or Christmas. Because Natal is Christmas in Catalonian and, Jesus. In, Catalonian and Portuguese. Aqualung, I have answered. I have given a few thoughts on the globalized centralized banking system. Like I think half an hour ago. Antinatalism is the idea that people should stop reproducing. Well, that's bullshit. That sounds like something that an edgy teenager who doesn't actually understand how shit works. Oh, Dakota Tackett donated $4 Did you not have to do a subscription? Can you actually let me know what happened after this? Thank you for the €4, by the way. I really appreciate the money. See, the thing with if we stop reproducing now, we will eventually have so many old people, and that the population that exists will not be able to support them. We will have more people will be bound into service of these old people and making sure that the majority of society is able to survive, which means that we will have fewer innovators that actually can... Oh, thank you! 1 second, I'm gonna get to that. We will have fewer innovators that can fix the problems, because overpopulation is a drastically exaggerated problem. We just need new technologies that can set off the problems that we will get with overpopulation. Because every time we have reached a sort of ceiling with our population limit, we have just increased the ceiling by using technology. And that is 100% the same thing that will happen with this. And I think that anti-natalism might be a problem because it will reduce the amount of innovators. Instead of, you know, actually fixing the problem. Just checking because of the purchase subscription thing in the chat. Thank you, Teranazam, for the $1. Thank you for the $5, Adam McWaters. Testing, thanks for fun times. Thanks for testing this on me. Yeah, I mean, that's why Natal is Christmas, because it's the birth of Christ. It's basically if Christmas was not called Christmas, but Birthmas. Streamlabs works fine. I didn't even have to log in. More adoption, more surviving offspring. That's not necessarily true. I mean, I do think we should promote adoption. But the amount of people saved that way is marginal. I mean, I most of my life, most of my my youth, I should say, I spent in the system, and I came out okay. So I grew up mostly in a boys' home. The idea is that the world will be better off it. We're not human life in general. Is the defeatist view of the problem? Yeah, it's fucking edgy 12-year-old tossers. That's what that is. Humans are so terrible. Fuck you. Suck my dick. Go kill yourself if you think that humans are that bad. Go end yourself, because you are being bad to me with the mere notion of your existence. So fuck off. Overpopulation of humans, exactly. Europe and USA are dying out. No, they're not dying out. They just have reduced birth rates. That's not the same of dying out. There's still more Europeans being born. The birth rate is just lower. But if you actually know, like, a little bit of statistics, you know, we're not dying out. There will be more of us than ever in the future as well. First time stream, what's your opinion on the current political situation in Italy? I know that there is something going on in Italy, and I know that apparently Berlusconi is back in the game, but I don't know what it is, so I'm not going to comment on it. Natalism promotes childbearing and parenthood as desirable for social reasons and to ensure the continuance of humanity. Well, yeah. It is good for the continuance of humanity. Not only in the literal sense, but also in the abstract, in the way that I have just explained. So welcome to first time on stream, Michael. Hello. I always wave to the chat. I should be waving at the webcam. Maybe I should put the webcam there, but then you would see the disgusting mess that is at exactly that angle. Not that you don't see the disgusting mess that is at this angle of me, but you would also see the disgusting mess that is this at that angle of me. So, you know. What is your opinion on Jew jokes? Make Jew jokes. I don't give a shit. The most Jew jokes that I know, I have learned from three Jukes, from three old Jewish men when I was a very small child, two of whom were in Auschwitz. Burger Ahmed is not a European. Well, he is now. Like, it's not. I don't really give a shit. As long as their culture doesn't replace ours, I don't care about, like, this, like, I mean, sure, it's a huge amount of people, but it's, I don't know, it's against incest. And in like 100 years, we'll be able to tailor our genes to do anything at all anyway. So if then you want to have your white nationalist ethno-race in some distant space station, you can do that. I don't give a shit. As long as the problem with the migrants is not their genes, it's their culture. I think more contraception should be introduced in third world countries because more of their children will survive. What? That will... What? The reason people in third world countries... The reason people in third world countries have a lot of children is because children don't die for reasons that aren't contraception, unless you think of cholera as a means of contraception, which of course, you know, it might be. No, they have to have a lot of children because there are no social systems in place that will help them, and a lot of children are gonna die. And of course now, with better medicine, a lot of the children survive. But this is a phenomenon that you see pretty much everywhere. This is a phenomenon that happened in Europe as well. The higher the standard of living, the more the birth rate sort of drops off. There's still a continual increase in the amount of people that exist because, of course, we are working from a bigger base of people. But this changes. We need to raise the standard of living in Africa, and then they're going to have fewer kids. They reproduce like rabbits in animalistic hope that some of their children will survive. Yeah, that is a legitimate survival tactic down there. Because and not just some of their children. I mean, some of their children will survive so they can feed them when they are old. I mean, Africa's a shithole is a difficult thing to say because it's not true. But large swathes of Africa are shitholes. They're incredibly dangerous and people, especially children, die there. So it's 100% legitimate to do that. Are abortions morally justified if artificial wombs make women's body unnecessary for the survival of the fetus? That is an interesting question. That is an incredibly interesting question. Would you be, I mean, let's just assume that you would be able to transplant a pregnancy from a woman's womb to an artificial womb, because, like, if not, then the argument would be moot, so let's just assume that's a thing. That's a very interesting question. At the end of the day, the woman would still be stuck raising the child, and at that point, the question you have to ask yourself is, do you want... do you think that the child growing up without parents or without a mother is preferable to the child not being born? In which case, I would kind of say, sort of, like, yeah, probably then abortion would become sort of immoral, because it will no longer be the body of the woman that is the thing that is affected. It would be an outside thing. But also, we would have to have systems in place that, for one, take over the cost of bearing the child, like the mother wouldn't have to pay for the artificial womb. And also, we should probably, for reasons of making of producing better members of society get a better adoption culture for children like that. But I think at the point at which we have artificial wombs, no, I don't think what I was about to say was very smart, so I'm just not going to finish the sentence. That is an excellent question. I think I will have to consider this further. As long as they're cultural, my innocent. What do you know? Do you understand how human psychology works, CyberD? Like, do you have the basest understanding of how that works? Jesus Christ. What do you think about the new Blade Runner? I haven't seen it yet. I want to see it though. Have fun raising the living standard of hundreds of millions of people in Africa to up to USA standards. The planet won't handle so. You don't just raise the standard of living of a place. It's a... Like, I say these things, and they're always more complex than I can bring over in a single sentence, right? Raising the standard of living in Africa doesn't mean that you just send flat-screen TVs there. It means that you have to build up the local economy from the ground. And that is something that big corporations and Western sort of non-profits are actively working against. The big corporations, because they want to be able to exploit Africa and the African people, and also China is doing the same thing. And the non-profits, because they want to have a reason to exist. And the elites of Africa, a lot of the time go, stop with the shit that is, stop donating money to us. Stop it. Stop donating money and stop donating goods to us. Stop donating us clothes. Because if you have a clothes shop, right, a guy in Africa who makes clothes, and then some Europeans come in and they just drop off clothes, that African person can no longer sell their clothes because he's being price dumped. And that ruins the economy and prevents us from building the very basic foundations of a stable economy that Western nations have. Also, most of China has almost American standards of living, right? If you don't go too far to the west of China, in the big cities, but the cities in China are a lot cleaner. And the public transportation systems are a lot better than those of America. It's not, the USA standard of living is not the best in the West. I'm sorry to say this, it's not. As someone who comes from like one of the countries with the top 3 highest standards of living, US standard ain't that good. It is decent, you know, it's okay, but I still, when I see like people of, like when I see pictures of average places in the US, I sort of feel like they're dirty sometimes. And the elites love the money donations because they buy them apartments in the city of London. Also that, they do, that shit is tax deductible, which, you know, I don't know if that, there are good reasons to make things like that tax deductible, and things not to. I think if you had a competent government, you shouldn't make these things tax deductible and just increase taxes and then do it over that. But because usually you tend not to have a perfectly competent government, probably it's not a good idea. But I mean, that's a thing that I would have to look into to actually get a more nuanced position on. I'm not exactly sure about this. Yeah, you donate a lot of clothes, and yeah, it ruins the African economy. What you can do is, if you have money left over, don't give it to Africa, invest it in local African businesses. There are places like Kiva that actually seek out these businesses, and you don't even have to donate your money, you get your money back. Rural China is stuck in the 1900s. Yeah, sure. But the vast majority of Chinese people don't live in rural China. They live in gargantuan cities. The US is the only modern Western nation where you can die from a lack of access to healthcare. This concept doesn't exist in Europe, for example. Yeah. You have the most extreme right-wing libertarians in Europe. None of them even consider that you could not have socialized healthcare. That is a concept that is... You tell people in Europe this, that the system, how it is in America, and they go, I thought that was a joke. Is that really like that? They don't understand it. They do not understand how shitholy that is. I personally, like, I deal with this a lot. I deal with the healthcare issue a lot in America. And I still cannot comprehend it either. Because it is just so retarded. That is the right word. It is so incredibly backwards that it is actually, in the truest sense of the word, retarded. How work on bionicle law are you right now? I haven't had the time to look into bionicle law. I think, however, that I will look, in the coming weeks, I will look into bionicle law on stream. How about that? Burger, debunk libertarians for me. The thing about libertarians, is that they don't really exist anymore. Like, I understand that there is an ideology different from anarcho-capitalism that is libertarianism, but functionally every single libertarian that I have ever talked to in my entire life, and every single libertarian that I have ever seen on the internet, was de facto an anarcho-capitalist. So... how do you feel about Dutch Chancellor Merkel? I don't like her. I don't like Merkel. I don't like her because... I mean, she was decent before the migrant crisis, but I think that her biggest problem was always that she didn't do anything. She was not proactive in the slightest. And the thing is that Germany needs a proactive leader because Germany needs to be a proactive nation. And the only proactive part of the Merkel government has always been the black suitcases. That's the only thing that has been proactive. Merkel, the whole reason why the migrant crisis happened isn't because Merkel said, come here, everyone. It's because Merkel just didn't do anything. She just sat there and... And then she did this, and that's why the shit happened. So that's my big problem with Merkel. Though she is a physicist, interestingly enough. I think she has an actual doctorate in physics. Bergamo communism, lol, I kid, of course. Most of America has been brainwashed and thinking social healthcare is communism, sadly. Yeah, and I wonder who put that thought in their heads. She was one of the major reasons why this crisis ever even happened. Yeah, because she didn't do anything. Because she was not proactive about the situation in the political climate of Germany. Oh yeah, healthcare system is certainly retarded, especially when you consider that Obamacare tried to fine people for not having healthcare for the price it would take to get it. Obamacare was the... Like, Obamacare in its original iteration, how it was supposed to get there, how it was supposed to become law, was pretty good. It wasn't as good as most systems, but it was pretty good. But then the Republicans gutted it to basically make it into a mandate to buy insurance so they could receive black suitcases from their insurance company friends. And that is why Obamacare is shit. It is not shit because it is socialized healthcare. It is shit because it is American healthcare. Can you see the Libertarian presidential candidate election 2016? What Aleppo man got booed for wanting people to get car licenses? Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, I liked him. I forgot his name, but I liked him. Gary Johnson. I liked him as a dude, but he was at the end of the day. I mean, I think like I don't know, like he asked what's Aleppo, and then they said, oh, it's this town in Syria, and he immediately knew what was going on there. So I can empathize with that, because I too often just forget the names of things. And then when you tell me what you're talking about, I will say, oh, that, I actually know what that is. So that's the situation. But Berg thinks Merkel's lack of action wasn't an action itself. No, Merkel's lack of action in a political stage, that is an action. If you are not proactive, especially as Germany geopolitically, you are being passive, and being passive is something that you do actively for the terms of what happens to you. Right? That is what happens. And Merkel was shit because she has never been proactive, and that is the big reason why Merkel has often failed in what she has done. Don't call it Obamacare, man. It was the Republicans who changed it into what it ended up being. That is actually a very good point. All that being said, I am going to say bye-bye to you friends today, because we have been going on for 2 hours. Though I will answer that, Benji Fiji. There is a Brandon Sanderson lecture on science fiction and fantasy writing. Look on it on a channel called Camera Panda. Watch it. You will never learn as much about writing as you will in that lecture. Yeah, follow me on Twitter, like, subscribe to this video, whatever, get on the Discord. I appreciate all of you being here with me tonight. I will see you tomorrow on Twitch. I will see you next week here in that sort of situation. I wish you all the best, and see you around, cunts.